Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast, the podcast where the dogs are the stars of the show. Welcome to episode 52 of the Relaxed Dog Podcast, sponsored by relaxeddog.com. Thank you very much for finding this little podcast. Welcome back if you've been listening before, and welcome if this is your first episode. What I would love you guys to do is to stop, unless you're driving, and hit subscribe. And that way you'll be sure to get the next episode without any dramas. Another little thing is to bear with me for at least 3 episodes just to check it out, and hopefully you will learn to like what the little show is all about, which basically is people just talking about their dog. This week, my guest is Katy Cable. We'll be talking about her dog. But first, in some doggy news, some archaeologists working in Solvsborg, which is just south of Stockholm in Sweden, found some remains of an ancient dog. They are estimating the remains to be about 8,500 years old, and was found buried with a human, along with a few other artifacts that they are saying belonged to that human. The dog's remains were examined, and they are saying that it looks like it was something like a powerful greyhound. And it's not quite as old as the remains that they're saying were of a pet dog dating back to around 14 to 20,000 years ago, found not that long ago in southern Italy. And over in Houston, Texas in the US, a dog by the name of Mackie is proving a little bit controversial, as Mackie is been privately employed to sniff concealed weapons at one of their local malls, causing a great deal of public debate and discussion on the whole topic. And then we go to the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California, where there was a recent short video doing the social media rounds of a bear with its 2 cubs walking along a brick wall of someone's backyard. The backyard then was filled with, I think, about 4 dogs running up to the bears. The cubs sort of scattered. The mummy bear sort of leant down to swat one of the smaller dogs, when a teenage girl ran out and straight up to the bear and pushed it over the fence, scooped up one of the small dogs and ran back inside as the bear clambered back up onto the fence to have a look what was going on before running off. So that's a interesting example of what you do in the spur of the moment when you are worried about one of your dogs. And thankfully in that confrontation, nobody, neither bear nor dog nor human, was hurt. And now is this week's interview. Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast. I'm here with Katy Cable. How are you?
Hi, Robert. I am absolutely wonderful. I am very relaxed, and so is my dog, which isn't always the case.
And how's things in your part of the world today?
Well, I live in Southern California. I'm just about a half hour south of Los Angeles, and I live at the beach, and things are opening up and schools are out and everybody is excited to be out and about and start traveling and getting back to life. So it's very busy, and it's mostly nice to see. But on the other hand, I do get a little irritated that my having the freeways and prime parking spots all to myself. That's all gone.
Wonderful. And who are we going to be having a chat about today?
Well, I do a pet blog, and I have a show and a website, and it's called The Weekly Runt, like runt of the litter. And I created this based upon my experiences with my rescue pugs. And today I am discussing my little pug, who is a little black Olive, the pug. And she is a black pug that I rescued. I rescued her 6 years ago, and she was not more than a year old. And she was down in the Coachella Desert, where they have the big music festival every year. They had brought her into this shelter, and she was wandering on the streets, and it just had a litter of pups. And she was just a little puppy herself, and she was very sick and very scared. And they brought her in, and they didn't want to let her go to anybody, but they knew who I was from my blog and all of my work with rescue animals. And they assured me that they knew she would be in good hands. And I assured them that I would get her the best veterinary care and keep an eye on her, and she would thrive in my home much more than in a crowded shelter. So they let me take this tiny pup home, and I took her to the vet, and she was recovering from some bronchial issues and a little infection. But she was a very healthy pug, and she was just the answer to my prayers. I had just lost my first pug about 6 months prior, and not 6 months prior, about three months prior. And my daughter was, we had gotten our first pug when she was 7 years old. And that was sort of my first intro to dogs. And then my first pug, Raisin was his name, and he passed away at about 13. He was a rescue, so we don't know for sure. And that was the same time that my daughter, that I was very close to, was leaving for college, and she was moving clear across the nation. And I was really in a very low depression. I mean, talk about an empty nester. I had nothing. My daughter was an actress, so I was her talent manager, and I helped her a lot in her career. And I was very involved with her cheerleading and dance and all the things she did at school. And then we did a lot with the dog that we had, Raisin. He was a therapy dog, and he did a lot of TV shows and became quite a celebrity pug. And I couldn't come to grips. And my husband did not want another dog. He said, it's going to be years before we finish paying off these vet bills from Raisin. And I would just like to at least get through the holidays before you start begging me to bring in another dog. And I agreed to that. And then we'd gone on a vacation, vacation for me and a business trip for him. And I got a text alert pretty much right after agreeing that no dogs until after the holidays. And the text alert showed a little pug that had looked just like Raisin at 2 years old. And the soonest I could race out of that hotel room and tell my husband I was going to get a mani-pedi, I raced over to the shelter to look for this pug. And I didn't get any further as to how I was going to get that pug back into and convince my husband. But when I got to the shelter, that cage, it said pug unavailable. And as I turned around to walk back out to the front desk and ask, I heard this whimpering, and I thought, there's a problem. And I turned around, and when I walked back, I saw Olive, and she was literally in her cage, putting her paw out, going, and whimpering.
Yeah, don't
And
go.
I looked at her and I said, your life is going to change. I will be back and I am going to take care of you. And so thankfully, that's how I came to get Olive. And that was 6 years ago in November. And I guess how it applies to your show, The Relaxed Dog, and congratulations, by the way, on 50 episodes. That's
Thank you.
Just remarkable. I got Olive home and I learned so much through my first pug, and then watching Olive. Olive was a little puppy, but she was so badly abused and traumatized. She had lived in a little airline, under the seat crate, and was a breeder dog and was horribly abused. And when I got her home, she was afraid of everything. I don't think she came out from under the table for a while, and she would vomit and shake. And I wasn't used to this. I just knew kind of the pug temperament and the rescue dog temperament, which is you're saving their life and they're going to be forever grateful. And she was anything but a content, relaxed dog. She was very traumatized. And she was also super, super cute. She was this tiny little black pug puppy, and everybody just went crazy for her. And we live down at the beach, and there's a lot of other pets and dogs especially. And I quickly saw that she was very, very, she could be very aggressive if she felt threatened and insecure. So I really had to diligently train her and get to know her situation and how best to relax a very traumatized, anxious dog. And I guess that's what inspired my blog, is to teach other pet owners some simple, easy things that might save the life of their pet. And certainly it will save them a lot of money in vet bills. And so I encourage people to reach out or tune in or visit my website, The Weekly Runt, because I have a lot of great resources on food and natural remedies. And first and foremost, what your podcast is, which is having a well-balanced, happy, and relaxed dog.
So was Olive the aggression towards just a dog, or was it a dog person as well? Or
it's never people. It's always other dogs. It's professionals call it resource guarding. And if Olive feels threatened, like her food or her toys or her attention from the pack leader is threatened, she would basically attack, as best she could. She's a little tiny pug. So, but still she would growl and, and get away. And I had to learn to read her body language and learn about signs of stress. And so that I don't put her in positions that are too much for her. And, that's another thing I would love to share with your listeners. One of the things I hear is that people think that rescue and shelter dogs can often come with, they're damaged goods and they can come with a lot of problems. And that just isn't the case. A lot of times it's simply neglect, or they haven't gotten the proper training, and they can be the best dog you've ever had.
Absolutely.
Olive was a young puppy, and she came with more issues than a lot of dogs that I've seen that are older. So that's a total misconception. And even with Olive, I have been able to drastically improve her behavior issues so that she can make a good pet. And so if you do find, if somebody out there is listening and they have a dog that's got a lot of issues, I'm going to give some of my favorite pointers that will definitely help, but certainly reach out. If this isn't enough, you might need to work a little harder with a professional trainer, and but it can be done, and it just will pay back in dividends like you wouldn't believe.
So how was Olive's when she first came around into the house? Does she have like free roaming, or does she have what sort of space does she have?
I took her for a walk, and I had her evaluated by a couple of trainers that kind of told me how to introduce her to the house. And I had a crate. She was not potty trained or had no schedule. And I couldn't crate train her because she lived in a crate. And typically dogs are den animals. And if you have a young puppy or you put them in their den, that's a great way to potty train them, is to let them out, because they're not going to want to potty where they're sleeping. But that isn't the case sometimes with breeder dogs or some of these puppy mill puppies. So I took her out frequently for very, very short, positive. It's all about positive reinforcements. And I would bring little treats, and I would just constantly be giving her giving her positive reinforcement to anything she did. If she would look me in the eye, I'd give her a treat and say, good girl. If she would turn when I'd call her name, good girl. And I just started using a lot of repetition with short 3-syllable words. And I gave her some toys, and I gave her some space, and I could see that she was interested and never really got to be a puppy. So at about a year old, she got to have a puppyhood and start playing with toys. And training can be wonderful for all ages and stages. You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh, for sure.
And a dog, they want to use their brain, and they want to please you. They want to know what you want them to do. So I found that by keeping things in short 3-syllable commands, and hopefully if you've got a dog that's food motivated, that's half the battle, because you can always find a little morsel of something that they like and reward good behavior and have some fun with it. And training is a great way to relax an anxious dog.
Yep.
And
how was have you got a backyard, and how did she adapt to that?
I don't have a backyard. I live at the beach, so I have a little patio, and I have a front yard, but the front yard is open. So I kept her on a leash, and I practiced just walking short walks with her. And I showed her how to potty outside. And that took a while because she just was so fearful of the outdoors, and she didn't really know how to go to the bathroom. She just did that in the crate. And again, she would guard her food and eat really fast because she just didn't know if it was going to be taken away or if she'd ever get another meal. And a lot of that trauma still, it doesn't die right away. If I move suddenly, if there's a really loud crash, or for instance, training a dog to be a therapy dog, they'll sometimes drop a bedpan or use medical equipment. And that would just be too much for her. It's too triggering and overwhelming. So I had to go in really slow little bits with Olive and find a safe spot where I kept a crate with her favorite toys, and I put a dark towel over it because it was an open cage that collapsed type crate. And I put some Snuggie things inside, and I took the door off so that she would have her own space to go and be quiet, but she could come in and out as she pleased.
Yeah, nice.
And that helped. And I kept it in a very quiet room. Again, I live at the beach and it's very busy. There's traffic, there's people there. It's very high energy. And the other thing that I did, it was just as important for me. If you're worried and you're stressed out and your job is too much, or the kids, that stress goes right to the dogs. They feel energy more than we can sometimes even understand. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of energy just for my job, and I had to learn to really just bring that down and be very calm and quiet and kind of get to know, kind of meet her energy level. So I did a lot of meditations with her. Every morning I would see if she would come near me. I let her go at her pace. Now she, pretty much flops on my head. But before, she sometimes would just prefer to be in the room, but across the room. Mm-hmm. And I would put on some different sound baths and just different calming music, meditation, just to kind of calm her energy and bring her into this safe space with me. And I would do that as well. And to just try to be almost in a loving baby voice tone with her, and to remember I just can't get frustrated with her because that's a trigger. And I just have to be slow and calm and methodical, and everything has to be really positive. I talk to a lot of people that get frustrated and maybe try to say no and be firm and discipline a dog that way if maybe they've had an accident in the house or done something. And that's not going to get you a relaxed dog unless you see the dog doing the activity that you want to say no to. You pretty much are better to just let it go, and then instead just learn to reinforce the behaviors that you want to see more of. And that's kind of the best way to start training them. And the other thing that I found that was so helpful, that's a little bit unusual, is if you want a very relaxed Zen dog, it starts with you, and food and exercise are super important. You don't have to overdo it, but just getting out in the fresh air and throwing a ball, or if you have an older dog or they have mobility issues, just putting them in a buggy or a wagon and taking them on a safari and just
like
getting
that
them.
Word.
Yeah,
yes.
safari for Australia. And you can do that. I did that during COVID. If you're still working from home or you have a dog that they're just not ready to be out yet, hiding little things and letting them do nose tracking and sniffing things. There's a lot you can do physically in your home that's appropriate for all ages and stages of dogs. CBD has been my secret sauce. I have been using CBD since people didn't even know what that was and were confusing it with medical marijuana, and it was a gateway drug. And I'm going to have a dog on opiates, and actually it has been a lifesaver in calming down and keeping anxious pets, not just for the 4th of July, but keeping them balanced. And you can use CBD for everything from a highly anxious dog that's barking a lot or is fearful, to dogs that are suffering from pain due to aging or a medical condition. And just like food, there's as many types of CBD literally as there are food. So I caution people to make sure that you do your due diligence on CBD. a bad CBD is not going to be potent and can be dangerous. So, make sure that you're vetting your products.
Absolutely. I understand there's not that much regulation in that area.
Yes. Not at all. And that's one of the things that I can certainly point people in the right direction, because I have vetted my products thoroughly. I've used them on hundreds of dogs, and I'd be more than happy to at least help people with what to look for and how to vet a company, or point them to the companies that I use, and they can be assured they're going to get good things, and that should help a lot.
So with Olive, you've mentioned that she's had a few different toys and things. Is there a particular type of toy that you would say is her favorite?
There is. And this is called, they're called Multi-Pet. And that's who sells this toy. And when I brought this home, this became my new go-to. And you can't see it, but it's a little stuffed. I'm pulling it in from the app. She hides these because they're so great. But they have, this is a little cow. I guess you can see it if your video's on.
Oh, yes, I heard that.
And yes, they moo. Oh, there she goes. There you go, Olive. And the ducks quack. They have pigs. And those have been the most fun and comforting. And she takes that into her little crate and just cuddles with it and chews on it. And that's been a really comforting toy. Also, they sell them, I forget the brand, but they have a little bit of pheromone that you can actually put on the stuffed toy. And that's the hormone that the mommy gives off. So it's a very calming, relaxing hormone that's in the toy, and it's really soothing to the dog. So I use those too when Olive's had a big day, or I do a lot of events for my work. So sometimes that can be a lot of energy and a lot of other dogs. And those are nice little kind of grounding things to do with Olive when we get back.
Nice. So do you play a lot of games with Olive?
It's part of our daily routine. She is lucky that she lives at the beach. I don't go a lot in the summer because it's just starting to be way too busy. And a lot of dogs there are brand new. They're not trained. They probably don't have any business being there just yet. But just for safety, I take her to a lot of training classes, and I do like little agility things with her because she loves to run around and play. Or I get together with a couple of friends that have dogs that she plays well with, and then they run around and do things, and it's fun for me to catch up. And we go on long walks 2 to 3 times a day, if possible, if the weather's permitting. And just nice, relaxing walks. I let her sniff everything. It used to drive me crazy, and I drag her along. And then I realized, this is sort of like somebody pulling me by the heels through the shopping mall when there's a shoe sale. So
exactly. Yeah.
Let her sniff everything. And so we do that. And all of those have really helped her feel secure and balanced. And the other thing is, since she is just had such a rough beginning, literally rough, I'm pretty cautious about the people that I have come over and stay with her if I have to go out of town or watch her. I make sure that they're people that she knows and feels comfortable with. And that makes a big difference too.
Mm-hmm. So she spent a lot of time on the beach itself. And how is she with the water?
She hates the water. You could throw a T-bone steak in that water and she wouldn't go near it. And Yeah, but she does love the beach. And so we play keep away from the waves. And the waves are pretty small, so it's not a big concern. But yeah, she loves going down to the beach. And I do try to go when it's not crowded. And I just give her free rein and she just tears down the beach. And then she comes back and just flops around and sleeps. So it's quite a life. And yeah, she loves it.
So with the water, how's that sort of transition to bath time?
Bath time was a challenge, and I'll just share my tips with viewers. Bath time and grooming. I took her to a groomer and I thought they just said, we can't do this. It's going to take way too much time. She's too traumatized. So she doesn't need extensive grooming. I brush her and I daily started putting her in the sink. And every time we come in from a walk, I put some hypoallergenic dog shampoo on her paws, and I clean her paws and her potty area because she's sensitive and she has allergies. So when dogs are outside running around, then the next thing they do is lick their paws, and that can mean a whole lot of sneezing and itching and uncomfortable. So I wash her paws, and then I've gotten her in the habit of being in that sink and being handled and groomed by me pretty much every single day. I clean her ears and I take her to the vet to have her nails trimmed, but I do it regularly, and I give her CBD before her nail trims or vet visits, and that helps keep her calm. And I give the vet techs, I give her treats so that they can reward her. And nice. That's helped a lot. And now she associates, well, it really isn't a big deal because she goes so regularly that after about the third time, she got in the habit of that it's okay. Mm-hmm. And that's another tip. If your dog's particularly fearful, you want to try to break that fear as best you can by little baby steps and a positive experience. There's some people on our walking route that have really anxious, barking, yapping dogs that run over and start scaring you when you walk by. And I have to make sure that I have her treat ready and either across the street or that I get her to focus on me prior to hitting that fence. So her eyes are on me. Look, you want a treat? You want a treat? Come follow me. Come. And so she's engaging with me and not paying attention to the barking dog, and it gets better.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you mentioned the vet. Has she had to go for more serious issues during her life?
Well, no, that's why I'm a blogger, because I practice what I preach, and I've learned everything the hard way. My first pug had pretty much every issue under the sun, and we spent an absolute fortune on teeth, on eyes, on food, rash, you name it, he got it, bladder infections, kidney stones. And this time around, I have learned what a big difference proper nutrition can make. Mm-hmm. And so I have found a really good food that has a lot of healthy protein. Everything's clean. It's free range, grass fed, and they use a wonderful probiotic. And since so many problems start in the gut, this is a great way to keep the gut healthy. And Olive has pretty much, she goes in for her physical, and the vet can't believe it, that her teeth look good and her eyes look clear, and she doesn't have inflammation, and she doesn't have a lot of rashes and no problems. And I swear to you, it's because of the food. And the company that I use almost exclusively is Nulo which is created by an athlete, and it's out here. They're based in Austin, Texas, and it's available pretty much at any pet store or online.
Okay.
And they have a great platform for whatever your dog's needs. If you like raw food or wet food or dry food or treats, you can find it. And then, I work with a ton of companies. And so I've been able to try and be exposed to some amazing things and just products at home that, bone broth is fabulous for you and your dog. And that's made a huge difference. And to my own health during COVID, it kind of helped keep everybody's immune system sharp and good through all of the stress.
So has just mentioning COVID, her sort of like lifestyle and environment, did that change much with the two of you during COVID? And did you notice anything different with her?
It didn't. My husband works a lot at home and I have flexibility. So there could always be somebody home. And I work in the pet care industry, and very rarely could I not bring my dog. Sometimes it's just not ideal, but for Olive, as much as I could bring Olive to different things that I'm doing, she is the most comfortable and relaxed at home. Mm-hmm. She likes to be in her little safe spot at home. So since my husband works from home and I have, everybody was working from home, but I do have people in the neighborhood that are at home if I need somebody to either come over or she could go to their house. And so that's worked out great. It's probably going to be more of a transition for her now that it is louder. It's busy. The whole energy has changed, and it's summer. Her beach is going to be popular. So
has she sort of developed any close dog or other animal friends?
Yes, she does. We have a beautiful golden retriever around the corner named Rusty. And Rusty is like, well, you know what? I got to say that other than about two or three crazy dogs in the neighborhood, we have so many dogs in this neighborhood. There's probably 10 to 15 friends that live just in a 2 or 3 block radius. And nice. I work with so many dogs, and I run pug meetups, and I help rescue groups, and I help with adoptions and at the shelters. So I feel like I kind of have a huge family of dogs, and they just go home with other people. But yes, we have a very tight-knit pug community, especially where we do meetups and trips, and it's like a pug family, and they get along really, really well. Really and she nice. loves seeing them, but not at dinner time. They all eat their meals separately, and then but the pugs tend to be pretty good little guys. Some of them you wouldn't be able to do this with. If they were a resource guarder and they were a more aggressive breed, it would just be too dangerous. So I'm lucky I could work with her and it was safe.
Oh, nice. Does she have any particular or what you'd call weird habits?
Does she have any weird habits? I used to think it was weird that she never wanted to go outside. Literally, I still have to coerce her out the door 3 times a day for her walk with treats. Most dogs, they'll bring the leash to you practically to get outdoors and go somewhere. And she is a real homebody. She, like I said, she doesn't want to go out. She is happiest here. But now that I understand, I did a podcast with a pet psychic and an animal communicator, and she explained a lot from Olive's point of view. So I don't think it's very weird anymore. She's just, this is her calm, this is her safe spot, this is her zen, and this is where she's happiest, just flopped around on pillows and here at home.
So does she have a favorite spot inside the home?
Yes, with her face in a full food dish. But next to that, I would have to say she likes to either be way up high on the top of the couch where she has a panoramic view and perspective, or flopped on top of the pillows. Again, she has beds and pillows in every house, but it's pretty much wherever you are. And hopefully you have a bowl of popcorn in your lap or a chicken dinner or something.
Question I ask all my guests is to complete the sentence. I can't believe my dog ate.
I can't believe my dog ate. Oh, I'm too embarrassed to even say what it was. I can't believe my dog ate the contents of the bathroom trash can, and pretty much half of them were on her head. In addition to, she had put the leg of my panties through, she'd put her head through the leg of the panties and came running to the door when the UPS was knocking to get my signature. And she was ferocious. And I was wondering, where did my panties go? I thought I left them in here. They must be in the wash. I didn't think twice. And then out came this dog, and she's black, but she was literally covered with Kleenex, and she had things stuck on her that I'll just let you imagine. I should have taken the trash out, but she pretty much devoured everything in there. And thankfully she was okay. I gave her a few tablespoons of pumpkin, and but I was very embarrassed, and I still see that damn UPS guy, and he laughs. He still laughs.
Nice. About going on like traveling and things like that, short breaks or holidays?
I love to do that, and it's become really necessary. We had to cancel a lot of travel plans with COVID. And so now I'm taking a lot of short local breaks just because my work schedule is so busy. But we go down to the desert where I found Olive, and it is very, very hot down there. It's much too hot for this breed of dogs with their smushy face. But we stay in the air conditioning, and we take turns, and we take like going to the pool and things, so somebody can be home and supervise that she doesn't get into those trash cans, which she will. You can't leave her alone. But we've gone down to the desert, and we go to other little beach locations. And a friend of mine just bought a cabin, so it's going to be a new pug lodge, and we're going to plan some shelter fundraising events. And then our big trip is at the end of the summer. We are going to be going off to Hawaii, and Olive does not get to join us in Hawaii. It's much too restrictive, and we need a little break. We've been at each other's side for forever. And so I'm leaving her with a girlfriend that's thrilled.
Nice. Do you think she has a favorite spot that she has gone to, that she always enjoys going back to, apart from home?
Gosh, that would be hard to say. We've been to some really nice places. I think she likes Ojai because they spoil her so much. We go to Ojai Resort and Spa. I've done some events with them, and they do homemade dog treats, and they really welcome and pamper their canine guests. And so she knows Ojai because she's been there, and she runs right up to that little market that they have on the premises, and she knows right where those hot biscuits come from and loves it there. And honestly, Olive has been treated like royalty where we go. People have been so kind, and pretty much allow her to go anywhere. And since we're doing video or shooting commercials or things like that, she gets a lot of liberties that a lot of dogs don't otherwise get.
Oh, nice.
But she is well trained. She can obey commands, and she's always on a leash. So yeah, I feel safe.
And when going there in the car, does she have her favorite spot or her spot?
She hates the car. The car, you talk about a relaxed dog. She literally was traumatized by the car. So that was another thing that I had to really practice, again, with really short little trips around the block or in and out of the car, and really spend a lot of time breaking that trauma. Not fear, trauma. She would vomit and froth at the mouth, and the vet gave me like doggy tranquilizers, and those just made it worse. They didn't calm her down. They went the other way. So CBD has helped tremendously, and sitting buckled up in my lap has helped a lot. And now she's good to go, but we do take short breaks in the car, and if it's a long road trip, and let her get out and sniff around. And again, the treats, always having treats when she's jumping in the car and out, and now she will sleep and be relaxed. But this took 3 years. So
you just mentioned that she's done some commercials. So can you just lightly sort of touch on that?
Yeah, she's done, well, they had a big show. Oh, she's done so many things. She is a really, really great dog that wants to make you happy, especially if you have a treat in your hand. And so she's always been really good in training classes, and she's done photo shoots for all kinds of things. Tesla, for different resorts, for photographers, for different pet food companies, health and beauty product. There's so many. And now with social media, people just reach out, and they just would love to use a clip that I've shot of Olive. So she's done lots and lots and lots of things. I think the most recent TV show she did was the Beverly Hills Dog Show, and they had all the celebrity pets there. Doug the Pug was there, and it was a big famous dog show, and then they had celebrity guests, and that was fun. And she's done a few things with the Purina Pro Plan Agility. They do a big, like an Olympics for dogs, and they have surf competitions and big parties. And she just comes as a, celebrity guest. Actually, I get invited as a blogger to cover it, and Olive can come and ends up stealing the show.
So does she have her own social media?
No, I didn't do that because she's really inspired my brand. And we started to, but then it was just too much to keep up. And pretty much the whole reason I'm here is because of her. And my blog is a little bit different. I do give a lot of health and wellness and training tips, but it's not the same kind of dry tips that you see on every vet website or product website. Mine are personal stories. And so that's kind of her tribute and her social media, that usually anytime I recommend something, I have a personal story about Olive or another dog, but usually it's Olive include.
So you just want to let people know where they can have a look at those.
It's called The Weekly Runt, and it's on all the social media platforms, and there's videos. There's a free weekly blog that you can subscribe to that goes out on all the social media platforms, and it's syndicated in a lot of different publications. And it's everything. Sometimes I do a profile on a really unique pet story, but typically it's a health tip. It's the best training tips, or what to do, how to avoid bee stings. That was this week. There's the ABCs of CBD, how to select a good CBD product, and what it can be helpful for. A lot on food and nutrition, and best foods for senior dogs, puppies. Things, nice. How to start out with the puppy, how to find a rescue pet, how to introduce your new dog to the dog you already have, and just kind of whatever people seem to be writing to me about. And right now, your podcast really resonated with me because it's the relaxed dog. And I think that's so important right now with the year that we've had. We've all been frightened, and it's been unpredictable and constant change, and all of that stress can be very difficult on our dogs. So it's great to have tips to keep your dog calm and relaxed.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having a chat.
You too. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm a fan of your podcast, and I thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely. Olive sounds like an awesome dog.
She is. You can see her on Instagram or YouTube, or message me at The Weekly Runt.
Thank you very much again. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, Robert.
Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you did, send it on to a friend, and then you'll have something more to talk about. If you are interested, jump onto the Facebook group and give us some feedback. Always happy to receive that, good, bad, or otherwise. Until next week, stay safe, and remember, your dog is family.